Hello and welcome to another MOOG demo library video. Today we're going to be exploring Spectravox. Spectravox is a unique device in that it straddles the line between instrument and processor. And for this example, we're going to look at using it as a filter bank to process a Roland TR-606 drum machine. So I have the 606 hooked up to the program input, which is normally used for the vocoding function. But the reason I've done that is because I want to be able to use the gain control to be able to drive the drum machine a little bit if I want to. And then I'm going to take the program output in the patch bay and I'm going to feed it into the carrier input. What this does is it replaces the internal oscillator that normally hits the filter bank with the 606. So let's take a moment and hear how that sounds. So you can hear with the gain settings all the way down, I get a reasonably clean signal, and then I can really drive it. If I want to be able to drive or color the signal. Now, what I can do with the resonance all the way down is use all 10 filter bands almost like a graphic EQ, where I can use them like a mixing tool to be able to control the level of all of this frequency information to the point where I can just silence everything. So this can be a good way when you're working on a mix to be able to control some of the frequency information on an instrument. And with the unique functionality of the spectral shifting, I can actually adjust where all 10 bands of my EQ in the way that I'm using it are aimed at on the 606. So you can see it's a nice flexible control, and I actually also have a built-in LFO that is normalized to allow for modulation of the spectral shifting. So let's introduce a little bit of that LFO and make it sweep. One unique thing that I can do is if I eliminate most of the center bands, I can create something that feels like a notch filter, almost like a phaser effect. And I can make that effect more dramatic by increasing resonance on the filter bands. Now I can also do something interesting where I can remove the top and bottom, and rather than treat this like a notch, I can just open up some of my middle frequency bands, but spaced apart, and be able to get this unique resonant quality that can almost sound like a Foreman filter. So now if I remove that LFO modulation and I bring my bands back in, another interesting thing that I can do is if I increase resonance a lot, I can almost add a metallic quality to the signal that I'm processing. And so let's say I remove my snare drum, my toms, and my hi-hats. I can make the kick drum almost sound as if it's a gong. I'll add my snare drum back in. And maybe add a little bit of that LFO modulation back in for some subtle sweeps. So as you can hear, the Spectravox can function as a very unique EQ or filter bank when processing an external instrument.